The research is really strong. There was one of the earliest studies actually that came out on the effects of self-compassion practice found that if you do this once a day for 7 days, write a compassionate letter to yourself, it decreases depression for 3 months. They followed people up and increased happiness for 6 months, which is pretty powerful impact of just one week of writing a compassionate letter. So there's a few reasons. One is it's actually any sort of letter writing, any sort of expressive writing. We know from the research tends to help because it kind of clarifies your emotions. And think about it. If you're feeling an emotion, you're usually lost in them. But when you write about what you're feeling, that gives you a little bit of mindful distance from them, which can be healthy. But we find even more than just writing about it, and you might say that's the mindfulness, adding in these two elements of connectedness and kindness are really huge. So a self-compassionate letter, there's a few different ways to do it, but the way I like best is you write with mindfulness just to acknowledge your pain. Acknowledge what you're going through, acknowledge you're feeling whatever it's anxious or worried or upset or insecure, whatever you're feeling. And then you bring in the sense of common humanity. You want to remind yourself through writing, it's very powerful. I'm not the only one who feels this way. First of all, there are probably millions of other people feeling something similar to me. But it's not so much like other people feel bad and that makes me feel better. It's more like this is human. What we're doing is we're framing our experience as a human experience. In other words, there's nothing wrong with us for feeling what we're feeling. And so acknowledging that helps us feel not so alone. And that's huge because when we feel alone and isolated and we feel shame, when we feel like there's something wrong with us, it makes whatever we're going through that much worse. And then bringing in the words of kindness. So you can actually write to yourself. And this is really interesting with the compassionate letter. You can choose whose voice to use. You can use your voice, writing to yourself, words of kindness and support. Like you might say, I'm here for you. I'm so sorry you're going through this. I care about you. Or if that doesn't work for you, you can imagine that you were writing to a friend that you cared about who was in a similar situation. You can actually write the whole letter as if to your friend, but then switch the name at the end so it's really to yourself and not your friend. Or the other way you can do it is imagine that some very compassionate person, it might be a friend, it might be a spiritual figure, was writing you a letter of compassion. And you can take in the words that way. So there's really no one right way to do it.